union member, and I've been noticing that there's a big break between union members that support Medicare for all and union members that don't. My particular union Medicare plan is now being managed by Anthem Blue Cross, and it's nothing like it used to be. It's pretty crappy, and I think that's probably happening across the board, and I think it's important that as union members we get behind this idea of Medicare for all because it's everybody in, nobody out. What are your thoughts on that?
I support Medicare for all. In this session of Congress, we've passed many bills seeking to address the high cost of prescription prices, the lack of coverage with people with pre-existing conditions, and the fact that prices continue to skyrocket every day, and that many of the managed care organizations are really there to block and to prevent people from getting the health care that they need. The price of insulin is a tremendous problem in districts like mine where people are affected disproportionately. So what I'm trying to convey to people is the Medicare for all system makes sense because you don't have to deal with all the bureaucracy. You don't have to deal, the companies, small employers don't have to deal with that. And the only thing that, the clinics remain open and accessible. The only thing that changes is the payment, where you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about an illness, a sickness, a catastrophic event happening in your life that will be covered. The only thing that changes is that the payment gets made for you, and you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to have the headaches. You don't have to ration medicine like I've met people who are rationing their insulin. So it's moving to where the rest of the industrialized world is at and having a universal system.
100% agree. And you're making a really good case about the fact that small businesses would also benefit because it frees up all of that income.
I have some of the strongest retail strips in all of Chicagoland in working class, predominantly Latino communities. So the fact that there's that vibrancy means that all these employers are worried about their healthcare, their own healthcare. I met small business owners who are rationing their own intake of insulin because of the system that doesn't work. So this is a natural progression. This is good stuff, and workers ought to really be thoughtful about it and mindful, and not to be scared by appeals to, something dramatic and terrible is going to happen and you're going to be left on the street. On the contrary.
100%. One more question for you. I know you have to mosey on, but I also wanted to ask you about this week. I attended it was sponsored by Amnesty International, a few other organizations. It was the the presidential campaign on immigration. The only person that spoke out against ICE, that actually stated they wanted to abolish ICE and roll back the structures pre-Patriot Act where there was no DHS or ICE, was Faiz from the Bernie Sanders campaign. Warren is saying we keep it in place. Biden is saying we keep it in place. You can go down the list. Like, nobody was willing to make that brave stance. And I actually agree with this because none of these organizations are actually doing security anymore, which was the intent and purpose, right? Now it's all about eliminating immigration. You have, at DHS, I know of at least 12 ex-FAIR, John Tanton organization appointees that work there. And that's a white nationalist organization that not only wants to get rid of illegal immigration, they want to get rid of all immigration. So do you agree with that position? And if so, why?
Since we got rid of the Immigration and Naturalization Service, it's an agency that provides services, we went to ICE. And during that time, we have tripled the budget of ICE, mostly for militarizing the budget and a focus on criminalizing people and looking at immigration in the worst way. Let us be realistic. Our economy, because we're an aging society, requires immigrants to be here. They're here already. Why don't we take care of them? Just as the American public agrees that we should provide a pathway to the DACA or the so-called dreamers to legalize their status and to full citizenship, because they're as American as you and I are, we should be thinking about other people. We've passed the Dream and Promise Act in Congress by a whopping margin in the House. It's in the Senate. Similarly, we passed the Farm Modernization Act, which can provide a legal pathway for farm workers who everyone recognizes we need if we want to enjoy our way of life and good food in places like Vegas and the comforts, that they bring. So we need them. This is another piece of reform. I think if we continue on this way, we can get to a place where everyone who is here can have equal protection. Everyone here can earn good wages, pay taxes, and contribute to the public purse that all of us want. So, let us remember that we have come to a place in our history where the narrative has been to criminalize people that we need. people who aren't criminals, and people who simply seek what other waves of immigrants have sought in America, an opportunity to participate and not to have to live in the shadows or exploitation.
That's right, and they are being
By
exploited.
the way, I voted against funding for DHS because we continue to militarize, we continue to terrorize, and looking at the images of children in cages and the way that migrants seeking political asylum are treated at the border today under Donald Trump with the Remain in Mexico policy is cruel. We need to return to a humanitarian approach to it.
And you know what? I'm going to argue that that needs to go back even further than the Obama years because, look, that started under the Biden administration, and the Biden surrogate got called out for this by somebody in the audience, and the response was very unacceptable, in my opinion, because it was just deflection saying Donald Trump, Donald Trump. But we have to recognize, I'm a Democrat, we have to recognize that our side sort of started that and handed this very toxic football to a fascist.
The move toward incarcerating so many people in society began under Bill Clinton. He thought it was an astute political move. We've come to realize how wrong-headed it was. He's apologized. Others have apologized. The folks that did not get apologized to are those who are suffering the ravages of the criminal justice system today. That includes the criminalization of immigrants, and mass detentions and private prisons excel in the realm of our immigration policy because that's what we're doing to people, locking them up and denying them due process, and that's wrong. They should get a fair shake before a judge always. So ensuring judicial protections for migrants is very important as well.
Thank you for talking with me. I agree with you, sir, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you.